Robin Williams had been in the hospital room for 4 hours. He'd done every voice from Aladdin, Mrs. Doubtfire, and movies the 6-year-old girl hadn't even seen yet. Emma, dying from terminal cancer, had laughed until she couldn't breathe. Her parents had cried with joy watching their daughter smile for the first time in weeks. Now it was time for Robin to leave. He knelt down beside Emma's bed and she whispered something only he could hear. Robin nodded, leaned in close, and whispered something back. Just 7 words. Emma's face lit up with the biggest smile anyone had seen since her diagnosis. 3 days later, Emma died holding a stuffed Genie doll. Her family never told anyone what Robin had whispered until 2015, when Emma's sister opened a sealed letter Emma had written that night. What was inside revealed a promise Williams had kept in secret for 18 years, and why nurses at Children's Hospital Los Angeles would see him there every single year, alone, with no cameras, visiting kids nobody knew about. December 14th, 1996, Children's Hospital Los Angeles, Pediatric Oncology Ward, Room 412. Emma Rodriguez had been sick for 11 months, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, the doctors called it. Her parents, Maria and Robert, just called it the thing that was taking their daughter away. Emma was 6 years old. She should have been in 1st grade, learning to read, playing with friends, being a kid. Instead, she was bald from chemotherapy, weak from radiation, and dying, despite every treatment the doctors had tried. The cancer had spread to her brain. There was nothing left to do except keep her comfortable. The doctors gave her maybe a week, maybe 2 if they were lucky. Maria and Robert had stopped going to work. They took turns sleeping in the chair next to Emma's bed, holding her hand, reading her stories, trying to make her last days as full of love as possible. Emma's older sister, Sarah, 9 years old, would visit after school every day, bringing drawings she'd made, telling Emma about what happened at recess, pretending everything was normal even though nothing was normal. One night, maybe 5 days before Robin Williams showed up, Emma's fever spiked. She was delirious, talking to people who weren't there. Maria held her hand and whispered, "Baby, what do you need? What can Mama get you?" Emma opened her eyes, looked at her mother with a clarity that was heartbreaking, and said, "I want to meet the Genie. From Aladdin. Before I go to heaven, I want to meet the Genie." Maria's heart shattered. Of all the things Emma could have asked for, Disneyland, a puppy, anything, she wanted to meet a cartoon character voiced by a famous comedian. Maria nodded. "Okay, baby, Mama will try." Maria didn't know how to contact Robin Williams. She didn't know anyone in Hollywood. But a nurse named Patricia, who'd been taking care of Emma for months, overheard the conversation. Patricia knew someone who worked with the Starlight Children's Foundation, an organization that granted wishes to seriously ill kids. Patricia made a call that night. She explained the situation. Emma Rodriguez, 6 years old, terminal cancer, days left, wanted to meet Robin Williams. The person on the phone said, "We'll try, but Mr. Williams is very busy. No promises." 3 days later, on December 14th at 2 p.m., Patricia walked into room 412 carrying a stuffed Genie doll. She was smiling, which was unusual. Maria and Robert looked up. "Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez," Patricia said as Royce, "there's someone here to see Emma." And then Robin Williams walked through the door. He wasn't dressed for cameras. No makeup, no costume, just jeans and a sweater and that familiar face that had made millions of people laugh. He was carrying a small gift bag. Emma was asleep, exhausted from a rough morning. Robin looked at Maria and Robert and whispered, "Should I come back later? I don't want to wake her." Maria shook her head, tears already streaming. "No, please. Please stay. She asked for you. She'll want to see you." Robin nodded and quietly pulled a chair next to Emma's bed. He sat down and waited, just waited. For 20 minutes he sat there in silence while Emma slept. He didn't check his phone, didn't get impatient, just sat with his hands folded, watching this little bald girl breathe. When Emma finally stirred and opened her eyes, she blinked a few times, confused. Then she saw Robin. Her eyes went wide. "You're," she whispered, her voice hoarse. Robin smiled and said in the Genie voice, 10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck." Emma's face exploded into the biggest smile Maria had seen in months. "You're the Genie!" Well, Technically, I just do his voice," Robin said in his normal voice. "But for you, I can be the genie for a little while? What do you say?" Emma nodded so hard Maria was afraid she'd hurt herself. And for the next 4 hours, Robin Williams became the genie. He did every voice from Aladdin. He sang Friend Like Me and Prince Ali. He did Mrs. Doubtfire, Mork, the Batty Coda voice from Ferngully. He did impressions of people Emma had never even heard of, John Wayne, Jack Nicholson, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and she laughed at all of them anyway, because his energy was infectious. He pulled out the gift bag and gave Emma a stuffed genie doll, the official Disney Store kind, and Emma clutched it like it was the most precious thing in the world. Robin asked Emma about her favorite things. She told him about her cat, Mr. Whiskers, about how she used to dance in her living room, about how she missed playing outside. Robin listened to every word like it was the most important thing he'd ever heard. Then he asked Emma's parents about themselves. Where were they from? How did they meet? He made them laugh, telling stories about his own kids, about the chaos of parenthood, about the time his daughter covered the dog in peanut butter. Sarah, Emma's sister, arrived after school around 4 p.m. and stopped, dead in the doorway. Robin Williams was in her sister's hospital room doing the voice of the carpet from Aladdin. Robin saw her, waved, and said, "You must be the famous Sarah. Emma's been telling me all about you. Come in, come in." Sarah sat on the floor next to Emma's bed, and for the next 2 hours she watched her dying sister laugh harder than she'd laughed in a year. At one point, Emma laughed so hard she started coughing and couldn't stop. Maria reached for the oxygen mask, panicked, but Robin just calmly waited. When Emma caught her breath, he leaned in and whispered, "That good, huh?" "I still got it." By 6 p.m., Robin had been there for 4 hours. A nurse poked her head in to check vitals and saw Robin Williams entertaining a dying child and backed out quietly. Patricia, the nurse who'd made the call, stood in the hallway with tears streaming down her face. This wasn't a photo op. This wasn't a scheduled appearance. This was just a man who'd shown up because a little girl asked to meet him. Finally, Robin stood up. He had to go. Emma's face fell. "Do you have to leave?" Robin knelt down beside her bed, eye level with her. "I do, sweetheart, but I'm so glad I got to meet you. You're pretty amazing, you know that?" Emma looked at him, and suddenly her face got very serious. She gestured for him to come closer. Robin leaned in, and Emma whispered something in his ear. Something nobody else could hear. Robin's face changed. He pulled back, looked at Emma, and nodded slowly. Then he leaned back in and whispered something back. Just 7 words. 7 words that made Emma's entire face light up with the biggest, most genuine smile Maria and Robert had seen since before the diagnosis. Emma nodded enthusiastically, hugged the genie doll to her chest, and whispered, "Thank you." Robin kissed her forehead, squeezed her hand, and stood up. He shook Robert's hand, hugged Maria, hugged Sarah. As he walked to the door, he turned back one more time, looked at Emma, and said in the genie voice, "Remember, kid, you'll always have a friend like me." Emma waved, smiling, holding the genie doll. 3 days later, on December 17th, 1996, Emma Rodriguez died. She went peacefully, with her family around her, holding the stuffed genie doll Robin had given her. Maria and Robert were devastated, but there was also a strange comfort. Their daughter's last few days had been full of laughter. Robin Williams had given them that gift. At the funeral, Sarah, 9 years old and heartbroken, sat next to her parents, holding a sealed envelope. Emma had written something the night after Robin's visit and made Sarah promise not to open it until the genie comes home. Sarah didn't know what that meant, but she kept the envelope. She put it in a shoebox with Emma's drawings and toys and treasures, and she kept it for 19 years. But here's what the Rodriguez family didn't know. Here's what nobody knew except the nurses on the pediatric oncology ward at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. Every December around the same date, Robin Williams would show up. No publicist, no photographers, no press release. He'd just appear at the nurses' station and ask, "Any kids on the ward who need a visit?" And Patricia, or whoever was working that day, would take him to the rooms where the sickest children lay dying. He'd spend hours there, doing voices, making kids laugh, making parents forget for just a moment that they were losing their children. He did this every year. December 1997, December 1998, December 1999. Through the 2000s, every single year, the nurses started calling him the December Genie. Some of them didn't even know why he came. They just knew that every December, around the middle of the month, Robin Williams would show up and visit the dying kids. In December 2013, a year before Robin died, he showed up looking tired. The nurses who'd known him for years could see something was wrong. He seemed distracted, sad. But the moment he walked into a child's room, the mask went back on. The energy returned. He did the voices, made the kids laugh, spent hours just being present. One nurse, Patricia, the same Patricia who'd made that first call in 1996, asked him as he was leaving, "Robin, why do you keep coming back? You could be anywhere. Why here?" Robin looked at her with those sad eyes and said, "I made a promise to a little girl a long time ago, and I intend to keep it." August 11th, 2014. Robin Williams died. The world mourned. The tributes poured in. But at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, the nurses on the pediatric oncology ward mourned differently. They mourned the man who'd shown up every December for 18 years to visit dying children nobody knew about. They mourned the December Genie. December 2014. For the first time in 18 years, Robin didn't show up. Patricia, now the head nurse on the ward, stood at the nurse's station and cried. A younger nurse asked her what was wrong. Patricia explained about Robin's visits, about the 18 years of secret kindness, about the December Genie. The younger nurse said, "Whoa, why did he do it? Did he ever say?" Patricia shook her head. He just said he made a promise. In August 2015, 1 year after Robin's death, Sarah Rodriguez was cleaning out her childhood home. Her parents had moved to a smaller place, and Sarah was going through boxes in the attic. She found the shoebox labeled Emma's Things. Inside were drawings, the stuffed Genie doll, and a sealed envelope. Sarah had forgotten about it. The envelope was yellowed with age, and on the front, in Emma's 6-year-old handwriting, it said, "Don't open until the Genie comes home." Sarah sat down on the attic floor and stared at that envelope. The Genie comes home. Emma had died in 1996. It was now 2015. Robin Williams was dead. He'd come home. Sarah opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a letter written in crayon on hospital stationery. The spelling was phonetic, the handwriting wobbly, but the words were clear. "Dear Sarah, today the Genie came to visit me. His real name is Robin. He is very nice and very funny. I asked him a question. I asked him if he was scared to die. He said yes. Everybody is scared, even genies, so I asked him what we should do if we are scared. And he leaned in real close, and he whispered to me. He said, 'I will remember you forever.' That is 7 words. He said, 'If Simone remembers you forever, then you never really die. You just live in their heart instead.' And then he said he would visit other kids like me every year so that Simone will remember them forever too. He made me a promise, Sarah. He said he would remember me, and he would help other kids not be scared. And I believe him. I am not scared anymore. Tell Mama and Dada I love them. Tell Mr. Whiskers I will wash him from heaven. I love you, Sarah, your sister Emma. P.S. Don't be sad. The Genie remembers me." Sarah sat in that attic and sobbed. She sobbed for her sister. She sobbed for Robin Williams. And she sobbed because she suddenly understood. I will remember you forever. 7 words Robin had whispered to a dying 6-year-old. 7 words that became a promise that lasted 18 years. Every December, Robin had gone back to that hospital to tell dying children the same thing Emma needed to hear. I will remember you forever. You will not be forgotten. Sarah contacted Children's Hospital Los Angeles. She asked to speak to someone in the pediatric oncology ward. She was connected to Patricia, the nurse who'd been there since Emma's time. Sarah told her about the letter. Patricia cried on the phone. We always wondered why he came, Patricia said. We called him the December Genie. He came every year for 18 years. He'd visit the terminal kids, spend hours with them. We never knew why. Now we do. Sarah asked if she could visit the ward. Patricia said yes. In October 2015, Sarah walked through the same doors Emma had been wheeled through 19 years earlier. Patricia met her in the hallway and hugged her like they'd known each other forever. "Your sister," Patricia said, "changed so many lives. Because of Emma. Because of what she asked Robin. Hundreds of dying children got to meet him, got to laugh, got to hear that they'd be remembered forever." Patricia took Sarah to a small room off the main ward. On the wall was a plaque. It had been installed in September 2015, 1 year after Robin's death. It read, "In memory of Robin Williams, 1951-2014, the December Genie. For 18 years, he visited this ward every December to remind dying children that they would be remembered forever. His gift was not just laughter, but the promise that no child would be forgotten." Sarah asked if she could read Emma's letter to the current patients. Patricia said yes. That December 2015, Sarah Rodriguez visited the pediatric oncology ward at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. She went room to room, visiting the dying children, and she read them her sister's letter. She told them about Emma, about Robin, about 7 words that meant everything. And she told them, "You will be remembered forever, I promise." Sarah has returned every December since 2015. She continues what Robin started. She visits the dying children. She brings them stuffed Genie dolls. She tells them about Emma, about Robin, about the promise. She started a small foundation called Emma's Genies that trains volunteers to visit terminally ill children in hospitals across the country. The foundation's motto, written on every piece of literature, is 7 words long. "I will remember you forever. Always remember." Today in Children's Hospital Los Angeles, in the pediatric oncology ward, there's a wall called the Memory Wall. Every child who dies in that ward gets their photo and name put on the wall, every single one. Because of Emma Rodriguez, because of Robin Williams, because of 7 words whispered between a dying child and a comedian who understood what it meant to be forgotten. The wall has over 400 photos now, 400 children who will be remembered forever. If this story about promise is kept, about remembering the forgotten, and about how 7 words can change hundreds of lives moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they matter, that they'll be remembered, that their life means something. Have you ever made a promise that changed your life? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to ring that notification bell for more incredible true stories about the hidden promises that shape our world, one remembered life at a time.